Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Mariano. This here is Brent. We're two trainers here at K9s Only, and we're pretty excited because today we want to talk to you about the single most important and influential aspect of raising and cultivating a great relationship with your dog, and that is opportunities.
Now, when we talk about opportunities, in essence, what we're talking about learning opportunities. It's really interesting because when we look at the owner-dog dynamic, we see that in dog ownership, it's really easy for us to create bad learning opportunities. Versus in dog training, we're actually taught to create nothing but successful learning opportunities. So let's kind of talk about just a couple common learning opportunities that our dogs might have in developing bad behaviors. Truly, it all really stems from having too much freedom too soon. All right. Now, a lot of dogs have freedom simply because we feel that they like it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we feel that dogs like freedom, we give it to them. And as we give it to them, they also tend to have the freedom to do what their impulse and their instincts tell them to do. So if my dog feels like jumping on the counter and stealing food, and he has this opportunity multiple times a day, well, guess what happens? Very quickly, we can actually condition a behavior that is a habit now, right? If my dog loves my family, and every time that they walk through the front door, if my dog has the opportunity to greet people there at the front door, well, again, guess what happens? We now developed a habit of jumping at the front door. So, freedom is a huge part of why dogs develop bad behaviors. Now, by no means are we saying that we should take away complete freedoms. In essence, when dog training, when we are controlling freedoms, it's actually with the intention to give them back when the dog is ready for them. So I want you guys to know that me and Mariano, we completely believe a future with dogs who can be free in the house, who can sleep on my bed, who can hang out and watch TV with me on the couch. All of these things are part of our dog ownership. For example, my puppy sleeps in bed with me occasionally, but I know if I tell him to get off, he gets off. All right? So the key here is, in order for us to get healthy, balanced freedom with our dogs, we have to create the opportunities for them to learn the right from wrongs in the process. Go ahead.
Yeah. Here's another quick take on it. When we talk about why owners tend to have a hard time limiting freedoms and limiting maybe interaction and like creating dogs and doing these things, it's not about what we take away. It's not about, you mean my dog can't lay in my bed? You mean my dog can't just hang out when I'm not home? It's more about what you add to the dog in return. So if you take away these things, what you're giving the dog is simplicity, is the lack of like an opportunity for him to make a poor decision, pee somewhere, grab something, chew on something, swallow something, things can get, and that's like a more extreme example. But my point being, we set the dog up with training wheels. The dog has limited options, all of which keep the dog safe and in a good space so that they grow up the right way, and the relationship that we develop with them develops and sets off on the right path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Now, this is a hard pill to swallow when we're talking about controlling our dog's freedom. Let's kind of look at the opposite side. When we look at a dog training regiment, dog training regiments, funny enough, are very much like diets. They're dieted, habit diets, if you will, right? So we need to get used to
hamburger habit
diet. So what we have to get used to, not indulging our dogs in so many things without earning them first. We have to also understand that our dog's happiness is not always a result of how many things they have. Funny enough, a dog can have all the freedom in the world and still not be happy, just like with people. We can have all the money and all the freedom in the world, but that doesn't equate to happiness. So, in a dog training regimen, pretty much what we have to do is we have to control as many variables as possible. So if a dog trainer has ever given you advice like make sure you crate your dog or confinement train your dog, make sure that you leash train your dog, every one of these tactics are actually attempts to control the variables that might affect the dog's decision making, right? So when I'm controlling my dog's access to the house, what I'm actually doing is I'm controlling the opportunities that the dog has to make right versus wrong decisions. Now here's a really interesting example when we just deal with something as simple as crate training or confinement training. If my dog is very well confinement trained, this means my dog only has freedom in my homes when they're under my supervision. Okay? If my dog has a lot of freedom when I'm not supervising them, well, then they're going to be left to their own devices to create really, really bad habits. In a situation, if I allow my dog to be off leash, well, I have almost no control over the variable of if there's a squirrel, another dog, another person, and so prematurely giving our dogs freedom off of a leash
Begging for trouble.
is begging for trouble, and we can lead to really disastrous outcomes, right? So in dog training regimens, what our goal is we're trying to control the variables, so that way we can create opportunities where we teach our dogs, this is how you get the thing that you want. Versus at home, if we give too much freedom, pretty much we're surrendering our control over these variables. And so therefore our dogs learn, well, the way I get food is I steal it. The way I get attention is I demand it. The way I get the cat across the street is I chase it, right? Versus in dog training, we want to teach them, if you sit, you get food. If you are patient, you're going to get affection. If you don't beg, you're going to get your food in your bowl, right? So ultimately, the biggest difference here between right decisions versus wrong decision making in dog training is how we control our variables and how we create the proper learning opportunities for our dogs to succeed.
Right. I like the funnel.
Yeah.
The funnel. So there's all these potential things that a dog could do or get into, or or obsess over and kind of fixate on, like that cat in the next apartment from window to window type thing. Whereas when you start working your opportunities and understand that, as an owner, if you start limiting, it's not about I'm like Mrs. Trunchbull and I don't want my dog to do these things. It's just you're eliminating all these wrong options and creating a nice little streamlined net result of like the dog's like, oh, I can either do this thing or that thing, both of which are good for me, and mom and dad are happy.
100%. And again, controlling the dog's opportunities. Or another way to look at it is controlling the dog's options. All right. So I think this kind of sums up our video. Hopefully it gave you guys some insight on how opportunities are really, really important in the learning of our dogs. Please check into a couple of our other videos coming up soon. And if you guys like it, please click the like button below. And just look out for a couple more videos from me and Mariano.
And one quick thing. We want to start possibly some Q&A type stuff. So if you guys have certain questions, comment or Instagram, however you want to, just get it to us so that we'll kind of read through them. We'll respond if we can, if there's not too many. And if we get a few questions that lots of people tend to be asking and it's more popular, we'll use that in a video and hopefully we get some help for you guys.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys again for watching. We'll see you soon. Take care.